Good morning. I hope you slept good. I hope that your sleep was truly restful. Mine was not. I don't know what it was, but it's like, when you're in that realm of like aware but sleep, I feel like I was in that stage, right? Most of the night. Like I could hear things happening around me, but I was asleep or maybe just too tired to like get up and look or investigate or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I don't know. It was very odd. I remember waking up this morning and feeling like, what happened? Like, did I sleep last night? Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm kind of rambling right now. But, anyways, I say all that to say good morning. I hope that your sleep was not like mine and that it was, in fact, very restful for you. Anywho, on today's yapping session, I am going to vent a little bit because, sorry, got a text message. I'm going to vent, right? Because I am very fucking frustrated. And just so you know, this channel is not only to vent frustrations, but I am currently in a transitional phase in life, a death and rebirth, if you will. But a death and rebirth while being a wife and while being a mother is much harder than just a death and rebirth and it's just you and you only, right? So I had this epiphany, I guess. I don't know. Actually, it all started. Okay, let me go back. Last summer, last spring, I got a Moldavite necklace, and I had heard so many things about Moldavite before I got it, right? Like it's the transformation stone. Do not play with it unless you are ready for everything in your life to change, X, Y, and Z. And I was at a point where I just felt very like discontent with my life, I guess. When I looked around, it was like nothing in my life I felt like was for me or like by me, from me. You get what I'm trying to say? Like more so I had picked up what everybody else had laid down for me to pick up. My career, the way I parented, the way that I loved, the way that just all of the things. And I looked around and I didn't like any of that. So I was at this crystal shop and I'm just looking around and they had moldavite and I was like, ooh, I'm going to get it. I like to play with fire. Okay, let's do it. Let's play with it. And let's see where this goes. I got the moldavite necklace. And on top of just my feelings of discontent and just feeling like I don't like anything that's happening in my life, I don't like where I am, where I'm going. Like I just am unhappy. Everything began crumbling. I started making different types of decisions than I usually would have made, right? Like not following the status quo of what was for me. I ended up losing my job. Well, I didn't lose my job. I lost my child care, which then made me have to step away from work. And then we were just relying on my husband's income when I was the breadwinner. So that was like really hard hit, right? Because I'm the breadwinner. I have to step away. And the reason I stepped away was because through my husband's job, we had health insurance. I didn't have health insurance through my job. So in order to keep that for myself and our children and my husband, I was the one that stepped away from work and stayed home with the kids. And obviously finances got tight, right? And then the way that I parented began to change because I wanted to actually have feedback from my children. Hey, how do you feel like I am as a mom? How do you feel like I show up for you? What are some ways I could be better? And for the most part, my kids were like, "You're great," because like a couple of them were young enough to like not really grasp what I was asking. But my older kids said things like, "Hey, you could stop cussing so much," because I do cuss like a sailor, and things of that nature. So I began like basically just remolding who I was. And then one day I woke up and it was like my home no longer felt like my home, if that makes sense. Like I felt like, okay, my mission here is done. Like in this city, I've learned everything I need to learn. I've done everything that I need to do. I have completed my mission. And I don't know where this feeling came from. It was just so sudden and so random. And so I packed up my kids, my husband and I, he quit his job. I had already quit mine. And we moved to Ohio. So we came to Ohio. We were in Ohio for like a month. My husband was able to get a job here. I was not able to get a job. I wasn't able to find a job. And it was getting close to like back to school time because it's all transpired over the summer. And back to school time was coming and I was unable to get my children enrolled in school. And so luckily we still had our townhouse in Virginia. So we went back to Virginia for the sake of our children being in school. Again, my husband was able to find a job. I was able to find a job as a substitute teacher, which isn't paying much. And it literally was so counterproductive in terms of the care that I had found for my younger two children, the pay that we had to pay for them, and being a substitute teacher not making much, it didn't make sense. So I had to make the tough decision to leave substitute teaching, and then I was back home again. Just back with myself and my thoughts and my younger two children. And in that time, that same unsettling feeling of like, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Like I'm done. Like there's nothing for me to learn. There's nothing for me to do. I can't find a job. Childcare is impossible. Like there's no support. Like I just feel so isolated and there's nothing here. That's literally the only thing that kept going through my head. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. And so I packed up. This time I sold everything in our townhouse. Everything had to go. Clearing out sale. I sold everything. And what I didn't sell, I packed into a small U-Haul truck and came back to Ohio in January of this year. So we've been here since January. And within this time frame of being here, I was able to find a job. My husband was able to find a job. We got the kids in like online school. And this is where the frustration comes in because of that long stint of not working, right? Our credit has taken a beating. And due to this, finding housing is near impossible. So we are, just to be vulnerable here, a family of 7 right now. My husband has a daughter from a previous relationship, but she's in Virginia with her mom. So we're really a family of 8, but 7 of us are here. And it is just so hard because 7 of us are here. 4 of us sleep in this room. 3 of them sleep in the living room. And like, look, this is a full-size bed. Not even a queen size. This is a full-size bed that me, my husband, and our 3-year-old toddler all share. I brought he had a toddler bed. I brought that mattress with us, and our 5-year-old sleeps on that next to the bed. And then my older 3 sons sleep out in the living room. And there's something so humbling when everything crashes down and you're trying to rebuild and nothing is working like you would want it to. I was going to say not working in your favor, but in reality, all things are working in my favor. I just can't see it yet. But there's something so humbling in this space because it's like, again, I was the breadwinner before, and I felt like once I had made it there, out of all of my other previous circumstances, I felt like, ooh, I will never go back. Like, I'm great now, like we're doing it, we're living this life, our kids are good, we're doing this, we're doing that. And I felt like I would never go backwards. And then everything switched. And now I'm at this point where it's like, do I look for places in the less desirable neighborhoods with the less desirable schools in order to just have some stability for my children? Do I stay here at my mom's where it's a nice neighborhood but schools are still wonky? Or, you know what I'm trying to say? And it's like the kids are so over it. They're like, we want our own space, which completely get. I do too. I feel you, son. And so it's like this frustrating space of like, what do I do? Especially when it is July 22nd. School starts in a month and I need to get them back into school. And it's like, how do I do that? How do I do that? Because I don't have a lease, right? Because I don't have a place with my name to put on school. I could put them back into online school, but my children are so like, what's the word? Oh God, what's the word, y'all? Don't mind me stretching. They're so friendly. They're so like want to be in the mix, talking to people, making friends, right? They are yearning for that connection of having friends to go outside and play with and do the things and go to like, the amusement parks and things like that. And it's just making me feel really shitty as a parent, if I'm being honest, because I have yet to be able to do that. So, anyways, I say all that to say that life has a funny way of humbling you, and going through a transformation or a dark night of the soul or an awakening or whatever you want to call it is so much easier when it's just you, because I'm trying to go through it in my own journey, on my own path, on my own time, while still showing up for 5 little ones and still showing up as a wife and still showing up as an employee. And, it's like, when in reality, like I was saying in my previous video, bro, I already see where I need to be. I already know where my life is taking me. I just don't know how to get there. So it's like also a weird space because I'm showing up as this version of me now when I know that this isn't the version of me that I truly am. But I need to survive. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Because it's like, I need to pay bills. So I need to go to work. But I know that in this version of me, I don't work. I work for myself and I am wealthy. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I'm just, welcome to Andrea's early morning yap session. And I keep looking over there because I have my vision board there. So it's like, it's keeping it all right here at the forefront of knowing who I am and knowing who I'm becoming. But it's just feeling a lot harder right now. But it's okay. I know everything is working out in divine timing. Things are working in my favor. I just need to continue to do what I need to do, trust, and just leave room for miracles, for all of the positivity to flow in. Yeah. All right, y'all. So that's my little yap session for this morning. Let me go do something to this head and get dressed for work. Love you guys. Bye.